Stillness, creative expression, and nature can become medicine for the body, mind, and heart. There was a time when my body stopped me, not metaphorically, not emotionally, but physically. And in that stillness, I discovered something I had almost forgotten: how to listen, how to feel, how to create without expectation. It happened during a rehearsal, a moment that would change everything. I went from moving and performing as I always had to being forced into stillness. For over a year, my body would remind me daily that I could no longer push forward in the ways I was used to. The accident interrupted everything I had built: my routine, my performances, and my sense of self. In that sudden quiet, I had to ask a question I hadn't faced before. Who am I when I am not moving, not performing, not achieving? At first, it felt unbearable. Every day was a reminder of what I had lost. But slowly, in the edges of that stillness, I discovered something I hadn't known I was missing: a different way to listen. While I couldn't move through the world as I once had, I could create. I could paint. I could journal. I could return to places both external and internal where I had learned to find peace as a child. My body was healing in its own time, but in that quiet, I began to understand that healing wasn't just about regaining what I'd lost. It was about discovering what I could find when I slowed down, allowed stillness, and paid attention. And so I began to return to myself gently, patiently, through art, through nature, and through listening. I painted what I felt without judging it. I allowed color to say what my voice could not. When the canvas felt too small for what was inside me, I began to write freehand journaling, letting my hand move across the page without censoring it, without trying to make it beautiful or wise. I let the words spill: anger, grief, fear, the things I had swallowed for years. There was relief in seeing the pain outside of my body. And in that same season, I noticed old coping patterns, ways I had numbed myself for years through control, through food. When I could no longer perform or move as I once had, I turned to those old comforts. I gained weight. And for the first time, I wasn't hiding behind a stage or a spotlight. I had to sit with myself. But art, painting, journaling, sound did something food never could. It didn't numb me. It let me feel safely. It gave shape to what hurt without asking me to disappear. And in that returning, I found myself back where I had always known how to breathe: outside, near trees, near animals. As a child, when I didn't feel safe with adults, I spoke to leaves. I watched and listened to birds. I trusted what didn't demand anything from me. I would imagine that I lived in a kingdom and I was the princess. I would weave leaves into a crown that I wore on my head, then wrap another group of leaves into a necklace. I had imaginary friends who wandered the castle gardens with me. In those moments, I was in a state of bliss, completely absorbed, completely free. In that season after the accident, I realized something quietly profound. I wasn't learning something new. I was remembering. Nature had always been my first teacher of healing: stillness, cycles, shedding, and regrowth. And near water, I discovered something even deeper. I've always been drawn to it. Lakes, rivers, the edge of the ocean. There is something about holding my gaze to the movement of the water, the patterns forming and dissolving on the surface. If I soften my eyes and simply watch, my body begins to quiet. It's almost hypnotic. The repetition, the shimmer, the constant becoming and undoing. Water doesn't hold onto its shape, it moves through it. And somehow, watching that, I learned I could too. And then I noticed sound, not just the water moving, but the resonance of the world around me. Wind in the leaves, birds calling, even the subtle vibration of my own voice. Listening became an extension of watching. I discovered that intentionally creating sound, singing bowls, chimes, or my own voice could guide the nervous system into the same quiet, hypnotic space. Sound became a bridge between what I felt inside and a sense of calm outside. It was immersive, regulating, restorative. Over time, what healed me became what I began offering to others, not as a formula, but as a container. Freehand journaling to empty what had been held too long, intuitive painting to allow color to speak, sound baths to guide the body into quiet, immersive regulation, simple practices in stillness with water and nature to remember how to return. These practices are not about performance. They are about presence, about tending to yourself in ways that are safe, restorative, and honest. Creation stopped being performance for me. It stopped being something I did for approval or applause. It became regulation. It became listening. And it became prayer. The work I do now through mystic artistry, through intuitive painting, fire scrying, was born in that quiet season, not from ambition, but from necessity. From the realization that when we create honestly, we are not escaping ourselves. We are returning. Healing through art is not about becoming an artist. It is about becoming honest, about finding safe ways to feel what was once unbearable. My accident laid me down, but it gave me back something I had almost forgotten, the ability to listen, to feel, and to return. I invite you to reflect. Where in your life have you been forced into stillness? How might creation in any form be a doorway back to yourself? If this resonated, please subscribe and join me on this journey. Together, we explore what it means to create honestly, to feel deeply, and to return to you. As always, I am listening.